Hi, fifth grade. For today's assignment, you'll be working on slide 4, which is weather and climate of your island. I have Eva's pulled up as an example because she came to office hours yesterday and got a head start. For this slide, what you need to do is describe the seasons on your island, the number of daylight hours, the average amount of rainfall, the average temperature in Fahrenheit and Celsius. List the climate zone that your island is a part of and the various biomes that can be found on this island. For this activity today, you might need to research some information. If you're not sure about the average amount of rainfall, at the end of the day, this is a number that you are coming up with. If you wanted to go to wunderground.com or weather.com and take a look at that, you could go there and see what possible areas that your island is like might have in terms of rainfall. Similarly, whatever average temperature you decide in Fahrenheit, you will have to convert that into Celsius. So please make sure you do that. Finally, I will show you how you can find your biomes if you're not sure what possible biomes there could be. On Nightsite, I posted this link that has a world map with a variety of biomes in the key over here. What you can do is decide in this list what biomes, and there could be more than one that your island is a part of. If those aren't listed, I can show you Eva's again as an example. But here you have tropical rainforest, temperate forest, desert, tundra, taiga, which is a boreal forest, grassland, savanna and tropical grassland, freshwater, marine, and ice. If you aren't sure what any of these are, you can look them up. And if none of these fit what your island is like, let me show you an example. So here are other biomes that you could list that maybe apply to your island. In Eva's case, she had mountains, plains, jungles, deserts, and light woods in some areas. I also want to add that for the section that says describe the seasons on your island, seasons can include fall, winter, spring, summer. They can also be rainy or wet seasons. Maybe it can be a dry season, a monsoon season, a season of drought. If you're not sure about what season you'd like, I'm happy to help you, but go ahead, look up a variety of different seasons and find something that fits for your island. For slide 5, you are designing an autotroph, which is a producer, and this will be the first of 3. Slide 5 looks identical to slide 6 and 7. In each of these cases, you are designing a plant. Last week, when you were completing the Pear Deck and you learned about G2M4R, you learned that all living things metabolize nutrients, and plants are producers because they are self-feeding. They don't need to go out to a grocery store, purchase ingredients for food, come back, make all their food, cook it up, eat it, and then digest it. Plants have the ability to create that food themselves within their own plant body. So today, you will be creating a plant and designing it for your island. You'll start by coming up with a common name for your plant. You will then describe the habitat that your plant needs to survive in. Think about the habitats on your island. So where would your plant be found on the island? You're going to give the hours of sunlight that your plant needs to grow. And remember, these are things that you are making up that make sense for your island. You will also give the soil type. Here you could describe whether it's clay soil, sandy soil. Is it regular type of soil that we have outside? That's called loamy, L-O-A-M-Y. Is it an acidic soil? So you could say it's an acid. Is it a basic soil? Think about our soil testing. Does it have an NPK, a certain amount? Does it have a certain pH level? Is it neutral? So consider describing the soil type. It could be as simple as describing the soil as a location as well. Finally, you need to give one adaptation for your plant. An adaptation is a trait or characteristic that a plant, animal, or organism has that helps it survive in its environment. So this is something really specific, often a body part or a behavior that's going to allow it to survive something on your island. So let me show you some examples. So here's an example that a student created already. Their first plant's name is cacti bouche. So that is their common name, and they explained how to pronounce it as well for fun. The habitat is mountains on their island. The hours of sunlight that this plant is receiving is 8 to 10 hours. The soil type here, the student kept it very simple and just called it volcanic soil. Now, the only thing that they have to modify is the one adaptation part. They would like to create an adaptation for heat. So this student needs to think about what is something on the plant that will help it survive the heat on the island. So an example of an adaptation might be that this cacti bush has small holes that store water, so when it's really hot, it keeps it cool. Or maybe it has like fans on the spikes of the cacti that keep circulating air to keep the plant cool. It's something silly, but also something that makes sense. It could be something real, but an adaptation is going to help it survive that thing on the island. In this case, this student is going to come up with an adaptation to survive heat. A second example is this one. They created volcano cacti. The habitat is a volcano. And it grows on a volcano. The hours of sunlight are 10 to 11 hours. The soil type is volcanic rock soil, and the one adaptation they need to create is for hot lava. So although it hasn't been listed here, and they will go back and fix this because they started working ahead early and they haven't even listened to this video yet, but an example of an adaptation that I'm just making up off the top of my head is, let's say that this plant, which is on a volcano, is experiencing a volcanic eruption. Maybe the spikes on this cacti will open up into umbrellas, so the lava, that hot lava from the volcano, will not come on the plant and protect it. So an adaptation is something that is allowing this plant to survive something on the island, in this case, hot lava from a volcano. So I wanted to show one more example. This student started working ahead even though this slide has not been assigned yet, and they started off by creating a common name for their plant. They gave the habitat, the hours of sunlight, and what I wanted to show you is for this section on soil type, they decided to focus on the N, P, K, and pH. They said that the P was P3, so phosphorus levels or P3. The pH was 6.0, so acidic for sure. The potassium levels, K, was K3, and the nitrogen levels were N3. On Nightsite, I have pictures of the different N, P, K, and pH levels, that chart, so you can use that as a reference if you wanted to explain the soil type. Now, finally, when you are done with describing all of this for your autotroph, for your producer, you're going to upload a drawing of your plant, just like I showed you in the previous examples. And the last thing, I just wanted to remind you, when I'm telling you that plants make their own food, remember that process is photosynthesis. That's how plants are autotrophs, self-feeding. Photosynthesis is the process of making their own food using 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O and light energy, and that gives them the main ingredient, which is glucose, C6H12O6, plus 6O2. Obviously, you don't need to have that memorized anymore. Maybe you still remember it, but just keep in mind that producers are going through photosynthesis.